Hi guys, so today we're going to be learning about literal equations. So go ahead and take a look at the agenda. And if I'm talking too fast during this video, please feel free to pause it, rewind, so that you can take your notes, okay? All right, we're going to move on. So what is a literal equation? A literal equation contains primarily letters and symbols. In other words, formulas are literal equations, okay? We're going to go ahead and look at some examples. So here are the steps. So step 1, anchor the variable to be solved for. That means to circle, box, or underline. It is not to be moved. Step 2, evaluate the operations that are taking place to your anchored variable. And step 3, undo by performing opposite operations. Peel everything off. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with that first example over here. So I'm going to go ahead and follow my step 1, which is to put a box or circle around what they're asking me to solve. In this case, they're asking me to solve for r, so put a box around that r. Now, step 2 says to evaluate the operations that are taking place to your anchored variable. So what does it mean whenever there is no operations like addition or subtraction or division in between numbers or letters? That means that it's being multiplied, right? When there's nothing in between them. So here, this is multiplication. All right, so that leads me to my step 3. How do I undo that operation of multiplication? Well, I undo it by dividing. And I'm going to go ahead and write it on this side for extra space. So I is equal to P RT. Put a box around whatever it is that you're trying to solve for. So I'm going to first move this P. We said it's multiplication. How do we undo multiplication? By dividing. So P divided by P reduces to 1, and I have to do it to this side. Now I still have, let me go ahead and rewrite that. So I have I over P is equal to RT. I still have that T, right? I want to get R by itself. So what is the operation being used here? Again, it is multiplication. How do I undo that? By dividing again. Divide by T. T divided by T reduces to 1. And I divide by T here. All right. And I am done. That's my answer. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it. I over P T is equal to R. I know that I solved for R because R is by itself. Notice how R did not move. Whatever you box around is not going to be moved, okay? It's staying in its place. All right, let's go ahead and move on to this example over here. It says solve for H. Put a box around what you're solving for, H, and move everything to the other side. How am I going to move everything to the other side? I first need to figure out what operation is being used here. Again, there is nothing in between these symbols and letters, so that means that it's being multiplied. How do I undo multiplication? Well, by dividing. And since pi r squared is right next to each other, I can do it all at once. So I'm going to do pi r squared. Pi r squared divided by pi r squared reduces to 1, and I have to do it to this side as well. So then I'm left with v over pi r squared is equal to h. Am I done? Yes, I am, because my variable that I was solving for is by itself, so I am done. All right, now we're going to go ahead and look at more examples. So these are all one-step literal equations, okay? So it says D is equal to RT. Solve for T. I think that was a typo, but what that means is solve for T. All right, so put a box around what you're solving for. In this case, it's T. That means I need to move that R, okay? What is the operation being used here? Well, it's multiplication. How do I undo multiplication? Again, it's by division. So I divide. R divided by R reduces to 1, and I do it to the other side. Am I done? Do I have T by itself? Yes, I do. So I am done. I'm just going to rewrite it. And this is my answer. All right. Moving on. They gave me the same problem, but now they want me to solve for r. Put a box around your r. How do I move that t over to the other side? Well, I had to figure out what operation is being used. What is it? It's multiplication again, right? Because there's nothing in between them. So how do I do multiplication? By dividing. Divide by t on both sides. This reduces to 1. Do it on this side. Am I done? Yes, I am. I have r by itself. And I am done. This is my answer. All right. A is equal to b times h. Solve for b. Put a box around what you're solving for and move everything to the other side. So what operation is being used here? That's b times h, right? So how do I undo multiplication? By dividing on both sides. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. And I'm just going to rewrite it because I am done. I have b by itself, so that means I'm done. The next one, they gave us the same problem, but now they want us to solve for h. So let's put a box around that h. This is a is equal to b times h, right? So the operation being used here is multiplication. How do I undo multiplication? By dividing. So divide by b on both sides. A over b is equal to h. Am I done, guys? Yes, I am. All right. Now sorry about that. For the next one is c is equal to 2 pi r. Solve for r. So I'm going to put a box around whatever it is I'm solving for. In this case, it's r. Now, I need to put that 2 pi to the other side, but I need to figure out what operation is being used here. Well, that's 2 times pi times r. So it's multiplication, right? There's nothing in between. That means it's multiplication. I can go ahead and move both of these together since they're right next to each other. So I'm going to divide by 2 pi because that is the opposite of multiplication, right? This reduces to 1, and I have to do it to this side as well. So then I'm left with my answer, which is c over 2 pi is equal to r. And I'm done. Okay, now for the next one, they want us to solve for pi now. Put a box around your pi. This is again 2 times pi times r. This is multiplication. The reason I know that is because there's nothing in between those numbers or letters, okay? So then how do I undo multiplication? By dividing. I'm going to first divide by this 2 here. 2 divided by 2 reduces to 1, and do it here. And now I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it so you guys can see it more clear. So c over 2 is equal to pi r. Still have that box around that pi. Now, how do I move that r? Well, that's being multiplied. So how do I undo it? By dividing. R divided by r reduces to 1, and I divide it on this side as well. So then I'm left with my answer, which is c over 2r is equal to pi. And this is my answer. All right. Now, these are 2 steps, so I'm going to make a separate video for this one, okay? Let me know if y'all have any questions.